Hey everybody, welcome back to Astrolog's YouTube channel. It's Sunday, September 12th, 2021. My name is Teri Hunter, and I'm here with this week's Angels and Astrology. So the angels are going to be giving their advice for how to traverse the transits of this coming week. So first thing I'm going to do is talk a little bit about what's going to happen. Welcome everybody, welcome. Good to see you. Cece Pops, good to see you. I think, you guys, that we're sort of heading into October's coming. Well, before I start, let me just say this. If I look a little puffy today, I want to apologize. I made the grave mistake of watching 9/11 stuff on TV, and I bawled my eyeballs out. So I'm have a little bit of that extra emotional face going on this morning because I was kind of reliving I was alive. I remember it like it was yesterday, and it was really the onset of me starting to talk to Spirit about my own gift and starting to tell them the things I wanted to know and not know. And I'm just going to tell you a quick story because 2 weeks before 9/11 hit, I was insanely anxious to the point where the Friday before I broke out into hives all over my body and I didn't know what was going on. And when the event finally took place, I said to Spirit, if I have no influence over that situation, I don't want to know those kind of huge, challenging things. And ever since then, I have, Spirit has shown me things in a different way. So before COVID hit, rather than showing me this huge virus, they showed me homeschooling and people working from home. And I thought, wow, that's weird. I mean, I knew we were heading towards it in the future, but I didn't know it was going to be so quick. So I'm telling you all of this because as an intuitive, not only do you not get to know everything that's going to happen and be right 100% of the time, but you're also walking through a human experience. And it's your opportunity to have Spirit work with you rather than feel like there's some sort of puppeteer going on. Okay, I'm just going to shift the camera a little bit so you can see my candles and my Buddha. All right. This week is interesting for me because as I look to October, because we're going to have a Mercury retrograde, the last one of the year at the end of September, and it's going to go all the way through October 18th. We're going to have Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter all going direct in October. And if you include Mercury, that's 4 planets. So these next few weeks, literally the next 4 weeks, is an opportunity for us to really start to sit in and appreciate all the work that we have done as spiritual beings on this planet to stay aligned to the truth of who we are as individuals. Because, and I say this because I think things are going to get a little, we know we're having a Saturn Uranus square. We know that things are going to get a little choppy. So I really feel like this is important because on around the 14th, depending upon where you are in the world, the sun in Virgo is going to be in opposition to Neptune. When I was thinking about that this morning, I thought about all the darker sides of Neptune, conspiracy, illusion, erosion of, but then I thought to myself, no, the 12th house is the house of self-troubles in some respects. So what if, rather than having Neptune be challenging, we start seeing through this opposition the work that we've done, not judge whether we are complete, perfect, or whole, but rather the beauty of the human journey, the up and the down of the human journey, the obstacles that turn into opportunities, because as we go and as we're challenged, we overcome those challenges, we feel a sense of strength within ourselves. So I kind of liked that sun. How am I projecting myself out into the world in Virgo in opposition to Pisces, what I believe about myself in the dark of my room? And I really like the idea that I'm starting to incorporate those two things. Then we talk about Mars going into Libra. And I personally have Mars in Libra in my natal chart. And it's always struck me as being an opportunity to be more diplomatic, to be more truthful and harmonious as I wield my Martian sword. So this to me, because this is also, Mars is going to go into Libra until the end of the month. So October is going to be a very, very powerful month. And I don't think it because things are going to happen to us as much as we are really going to be able to take an inventory and see ourselves and the work that we've done and celebrate it in some ways. You know, there's this collective consciousness of fear throughout the planet, and it may have always been there, but I think this is an opportunity to transform it, to see the various hues of what fear has to offer. False evidence appearing real, or as one of my new clients told me, face everything and rise. Because fear is something that is truly the keys to our empowerment. Because as we balance them, as we see the wisdom of them, we become better Jedis. And this all feels like it sort of culminates to me on Friday here in the Pacific, when the sun in Virgo will be trining Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto is power. Pluto is wealth in many ways. Pluto is death and rebirth. So as we look at, because this is where I think the Virgo opposition to Neptune and Pisces gives us an opportunity to look at where we're too hard on ourselves, where we're expecting perfection, where the journey isn't about perfection. It's about continuing to align, and use the challenges as resources. So now I think, wow, as a Virgo, the idea of trining this Pluto in Capricorn gives me the idea that I can harness my power. Mars moving into Libra, I harness my power through my ability to be diplomatic and yet hold space for my truth. So that's where I'm going with this week. I think it's really interesting. We're going to have a full moon a week from now in Pisces. And as I said, as we get closer and closer to October, we're going to be harvesting all of this spiritual, energetic work. And I want to start to call it, the word work is starting to feel resistant to me. I want to offer it as opportunities to either present obstacles that we aren't good enough, or within our imperfections, we are good enough, because it's the tenacity to continue on. So that's where I'm going. Anything else I wanted to say? I think that's it for this week, and now I'm going to go into our readings. I want to welcome everybody here. Good to see you, Stephen and Kareen and Small Wildflowers. Wonderful to see you. Astro Ascension posted up. Tristan, Calculated Healing, Keegan. Want to let you all know, Juan is all good. He's just taking a break. He needs a little break. Needs a little Juan time. So we reached out, and we didn't actually get to have a conversation, but he just said he needed a little me time, and I totally get that. There's been so much going on in the world weather-wise, and I always think it's interesting when you look at a hurricane, because it's water and air together, emotion and brain, doing my thing. You know what, Tristan, I've been really called to crystal song bowls lately as myself. I have one that's metal, and I really like it, but I've been wanting to get one that's crystal for some reason. Okay, let's go on to our readings. As usual, we're going to start with Pisces and work our way towards Aries. Thank you, Lucy. Welcome, Crystalline. Health. Okay. Oh, how funny, Calculated Healing. I think it's fun to play with these things. I've always felt like music was the song of angels, vibration. I talk about vibration. What is music? Vibration. I feel like that is our essence. And so when we connect with music or with the bowls and with the rhythm of that, I feel like it's connecting to the deeper essence of who we really are. Astro Ascension, yes, indeed. We see this happening, which I think is going to really this is why when Mars moving into Libra makes me happy, because we need to be more diplomatic about these things, and because it can be very inflaming. All right. Did Juan just arrive? Did Juan come in? Oh no, Juan is taking a little me time. He's just, I don't know if it's the hurricane related. He didn't really want to go into anything. He just said he needed some me time, and Teri totally gets that. So she's like, all right, it's all good. Okay, here we go. Pisces, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And for those of you that are new to the show, or to the live stream, I should call it, I say moon because I believe wholeheartedly that we manifest on our emotions. If we feel crappy about something, if we feel unsure, that is the vibrational platform with which we take our first step. So if we think about the sun as how we project ourselves into the world, the moon is how we feel on the inside, and then our rising sign ascendant is our perception. So here we go. Love that, Lucy Rose. Love that. Okay. Pisces. Our first angel is Bridget. The second is Aurora. The third is Shanti. And the final is Omega. I have to sort of reiterate that I really think that this week, that we're being called to really take, take the criticism, the striving, the looking at things from what we haven't accomplished versus what we have, because I think it's really going to help us maneuver and steer our ships when we go through the end of this year, because I think the end of this year is going to be very, I almost feel like it's like I see stormy seas coming, and I can see the dark clouds, and I don't want to batten down the hatches so much that I become rigid, but rather I want to start to go with the flow of the water and let the water rule, let me know if it starts to feel more choppy, then somehow my emotions are not aligned. And I want to kind of take it here, because as I've been paying attention to this, I've been going into very strange places that I realize I've been making decisions that weren't truly authentic to me. So I don't know if you guys remember, but I used to have a huge brown Barcalounger. It used to sit behind me. And when I bought it, I imagined people coming over and sitting in the Barcalounger, and they were people that I didn't, that just really aren't aligned to me. And when I started to realize I didn't buy that Barcalounger because I liked it, I bought it because I thought someone else might like it. I got rid of it. And then I got this loud yellow chair right here because I love color and I love expression. So I feel like this is really about looking a little bit deeper as to what is your motivation for the actions you're taking. And are you looking for someone else to agree with you or to validate you? Or is it good enough for it just to be you? All right, Pisces. Bridget is being joined by the Baird. I laugh because that story is for Pisces as well as everybody else. Aurora and the Wealth card are being joined together. Shanti and the Dragon are being joined together, and Omega and the Letting Go card. So for my Pisces, here we have the Sun in Virgo in opposition to Neptune, retrograde in Pisces right now. Pisces, it's time to look deeper into your story, into your history, and allow yourself movement beyond it to start to see your history as, instead of constantly pulling you back into something that is unpleasant, it was part of a story that is now you've moved past. Because I don't think this is about caution. I think it's about inadvertently telling the story over and over and over again. And we do this in various ways without realizing it. That's my whole point. It's like, you may not be in an argument with anyone. You may not even be thinking you're in a weird disruptive place, but maybe you're making plans for something like a trip or something you're going to study or something you want to do. And I feel like look deeper. Is it truly aligned, Pisces, to what you want? Because what's being offered to you is harmonious wealth as you continue to fly high. Aurora talks about flying high. It's breaking the box of thought. It's doing things different than other people would do them. And if for some reason this has to do with your viewpoint of your health and your body, because here we are on the Pisces Virgo axis this week with the sun in opposition to Neptune, trust your intuition. Trust the deeper truth of you, because your peace will come as you calmly assert yourself towards what you want, because you have victory being offered to you as you walk away from fear and do things your own way. The letting go card is always the song Let It Go from Frozen for me. And what I have noticed in our media right now, I live in California, we're going through an election, and nobody's talking about issues. Nobody's talking about making California better. These are all, the whole campaign is focused on name calling and on categorizing people. It's a polarizing energy. So this is why I'm saying look deeper into your truth. Stay away from the polarizing energies and hold true to what brings you harmonious, what you know is your truth. When I say harmonious, I don't mean like everything's going to be, oh, I mean, it's more like, I get it. I get that even through the disruption, this makes me feel the most peaceful, because it's time to truly assert yourself without fire and brimstone, without being angry, but rather trusting that there is a wisdom to all of this, because here is victory. And victory is where we start to think of fear as something that is not to be avoided and not to be shirked down to, but rather think, what if I face this? Will I rise above and be more powerful as a result of? All right, let's go on to our Aquarius. Excuse me. I hope I said hi to Keegan. I think I did. I think I said hi to Lucy Rose. Hi, Astro Ascension. You know, sometimes I think I've told you guys I watch a lot of history, and I watch a lot of, like, I'm into the History Channel now because I'm studying past life astrology, you know, to do charts or to do readings with Brian Coulter. And so it started to occur to me that I wanted to have a broader platform for spirit to work with. And honestly, throughout history, these dynamics that we're experiencing now have been going on. It's literally a loop. Yes, the clothing may be different, and the way that, you know, the specifics of the situation may be different, but the theme is the same. So as we can almost say to ourselves, rather than being incensed by it, how can I hold space and a vibration for it? And I say this because I'm going on to Aquarius. And what is Aquarius? It's rebellion, but not all rebellion has to be about being aggressive in a situation. This is where Mars this week, moving into Libra, allows us to be assertive in a diplomatic way that almost fosters harmony. Flamingo too. Yeah, you know what? When my hair is not blow dried, it comes up like 3 or 4 inches. I swear to God, it looks a lot shorter than it is. And it grows really fast, always has. So, all right, here we go. We're on to our Aquariuses, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Woo. Okay. Our first angel for Aquarius is Chantal, the angel of romance. Then we have Bethany in the opportunity or the obstacle. We have Caressa in the angel's advice. And we have Archangel Gabriel in the final position. If I remember correctly, Venus moved into Scorpio last week, which is a very sexy place for her to be. It also can be just slightly intense because she can get a little jealous in Scorpio. Okay, here we go. Aquarius. Chantal is being joined by the birth and the rebirth card. Bethany's being joined by the communications card. Caressa is being joined by Merlin, and Archangel Gabriel's being joined by the perception card. The first thing I want to say is that no matter your age, no matter your experience, Aquarius, this is an opportunity for you to have a rebirth in how you are perceiving your love life. And this is again where I want to go back down to a little bit of a deeper place in your perception, because Uranus rules Aquarius, as does Saturn. And sometimes I think that we don't always yearn for intimate love in the way that the outside world perceives it. I happen to have Uranus in Leo, and while that has many dynamics attached to it, it very much confirms why I never had children. So, because I think this is an opportunity for Aquarius to rewrite. That's the birth and the rebirth card, Venus in Scorpio, transform Pluto into a new way of looking at your love life. And I want to offer it this way because Aquarius can sometimes feel a little bit like, an alien on the planet, or a little, because you're so innovative and you're so forward thinking that sometimes with that old dynamic, the humans dragging one foot can make you feel like you won't meet anyone on your level. And I think that that's where Spirit is saying, Aquarius, look at your self-talk. Because I really do believe for every yin, there's a yang. For every salt, there's a pepper. For every peanut butter, there's a jelly, or chocolate, whatever you prefer. And I do believe that the soul has offered itself not just its own opportunities, but opportunities for our communities. If you think about what Aquarius rules humanity, it rules the big picture, the collective. So if indeed you have not met your person, you felt lonely, or as if love wasn't, in the stars for you, it's time to stop talking that way. It's time to start thinking that, well, maybe I decided to either do this in a later chapter, or the people that I've been with were, relax, Keegan, exactly. Relax a little bit, because there's balance being offered from the angels as one chapter closes and a new chapter opens. So what if for Aquarius, you were, you're kind of a younger person and you've been kind of doing things the way everybody else does. And then all of a sudden you decide, I love astrology. And so you want to meet somebody in your love life that also is interested in astrology. So you can have amazing conversations together. Well, now it's time for Aquarius to start to look at your own perception, because we've got a lot of things going on about self-talk for Aquarius. In our opportunity and our obstacle, we have communications card with Bethany. And then we have Archangel Gabriel talking about communications and perception. So it is time for Aquarius to give themselves an opportunity to liberate themselves from their viewpoint of what their love life has been, and to look a little deeper into the wisdom of what the evolutionary process has brought you, so that you can bring in somebody who's either more aligned, or honestly, maybe you don't even want to be in a committed relationship. Maybe you just want to have intermittent exchanges with people, and the world is so be a couple that you think you have to. Maybe you don't. I think this is about a deeper way of looking at love. I think we're all being revolutionized in the areas that we most want to be authentic in our personal lives. Okay, so I hope that made sense. Let's go on to our Capricorns. All right. Here we go. Capricorn, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Stephen, look at all the things that those nodes have to offer you. I know that the South Node is about to creep up on my natal Jupiter. Oh, my eyes are so puffy, and I can't even tell you how I bawled like a freaking baby over that 2020. It was as if I was jettisoned back 20 years in time, and I couldn't stop. Like I knew there was a part of my brain that was in like logical mode, and then my human body just could not stop. It was crazy. And here it is 2 days later. Capricorn, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Rosetta. The second is Francesca. The third is Sonia. And the final is Daniel. All right, here we go. Thank you, Finding Heart. Whoop. All right, so the Baird is joining Rosetta for our Capricorns. Francesca's being joined by the Lady of the Lake. Sonia's being joined by the Partnership card. And Daniel's being joined by the Protection card. So I thought about this. Saturn is exalted in Libra. And I don't know why this popped into my brain while I was getting ready this morning, but it was interesting to me because Libra is a sign of partnership, and yet Saturn's a sign of sort of depression and stoic behaviors. And so when I look at Saturn, I guess it makes sense from a military standpoint, or from like, a more judicial standpoint, that Saturn would thrive in that area. But I also think it's about rewriting Saturn, which is where I'm going with this, because for our Capricorns, Rosetta talks about parenting and teaching. And then we have the Baird, which talks about history and the enchantment of storytelling. When we're talking to such a large group, I don't really go to the specifics of you as parents, but your own inner child. And for Capricorn, I feel like the inner child is begging to rewrite the story. I had a client here a few weeks ago, and she said, I've been doing a lot of work on my inner child. And I said, stop working on your inner child. The adult is the one that's wounded, not the inner child. The inner child wants to play and have fun and dream and dance in the rain and sing out loud. Because I think for my Capricorns, it's time to have the courage and the strength to look at your own focus and how much of it that you inadvertently perpetrate stoic behaviors on yourself that may not even be in play anymore. I've got so much family story, and as I get older, I can see the wisdom of how spirit uses it. But I haven't talked to my bio mom to any length in decades, okay? And yet that woman can haunt me to this day if I allow those memories, that dynamic to come into play. And I've had to have courage to really look at my own focus in addition to what happened to me or what I felt happened to me, because I no longer carry those people with me every day. But I do carry the memories, because what I believe Sonia is saying for Capricorn, because this represents our team, our loved ones, our angels and our guides. And here's the Partnership card. And for Capricorn, who in its most challenging energy feels such an obligation to others, I think now is a time to go past that, to allow yourself to put your inner child's joy and excitement forward and start to truly dance. Maybe music would actually be good for Capricorn as we walk through this week, to start to shake off that grown-up inside of you. Because I want you to start to think, do I want to be the baby goat that everybody thinks is so adorable and jumps up and down, is like, just makes you laugh? Or am I the old cranky goat? Because Daniel's the angel of marriage, but I don't think so. I think he talks about my history again, the story I bring into the world. And this one isn't specific to partnerships. And then there's the Protection card. So I feel like this is an opportunity. I started this broadcast talking about taking an inventory about where we've been, our own spiritual growth, and then starting to celebrate that growth versus always looking to the next thing to overcome or to let go of or to reconcile or to be healed from. Some things are what they are. They've reached as much healing as they can do, and now it's a matter of moving our attention away from it. And Capricorn, I think that's what this has to offer you. I think that your natural ruler Saturn, as it starts to go into the storm period, is giving you an opportunity, and as it's about to go into that square with Uranus, because these are slow moving planets. This influence isn't just one day. It's creeping up on us. And as we go back and forth, we get layers and layers of opportunities to shift. And the shifting is not necessarily about a light switch popping on as much as it's an awareness. Exactly. And almost, Keegan, it's not just hanging tight for Capricorn. It is, again, taking that inventory of all the hard work you've done. And when will you give yourself an opportunity to play? When will you come in alignment with your history and see how it's worked for you versus really trying to tank you? And is your focus on your history, if it does feel like it's pulling on you, is it because you keep focusing in on that? All right. Going to go on to our Sagittariuses. CJD1 is taking a little me time. He's just needed, we've small wildflowers and me and Juan, we've been here every week, and every once in a while I think we need a little vacation. So I think he's taking a little me time. And Small will probably come up next and say, I need me some me time. All right, here we go. On to our Sagittarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Lucy Rose, for the longest time, my Taurus moon could not deal with it is what it is. It would be like, it doesn't have to be that way. It can change. But sometimes it's not just, my willingness to change didn't mean anybody else around me was willing to change or willing to even look at stuff. And it's honestly taken me all these years to really get that as a concept, that it is what it is. And there's power in that. It allows me to move and be free of something that can't be done. And there's no more to be done about it, at least not in this lifetime, which is why we are so blessed to have multiple lifetimes in multiple planes and multiple times and multiple vibrations. Because I was thinking about this too, and I wanted to ask Brian about this, because when you do the past lives, you look at the South Node, and that's what you're used to, and the North Node is just a good idea. And when he did mine, it was all about relationships and how I've been angry in relationships in the past. And I'm not even in a relationship now. So I thought, why would I come in putting myself behind the 8 ball? Why wouldn't I give myself an astrological chart if I'm really going to work on relationships? Shouldn't I give myself dynamics that support that instead of making it so challenging? Why have Uranus in Leo, So I started to think about it. It wasn't about relationships. And I didn't argue with him. I just told him, I really think that my Mars and Sun conjunction in Libra is about being diplomatic, about being able to speak my truth, be assertive, be the Martian energy that my Aries rising is, but without lobbing off people's heads and thereby alienating them. Just another hue in the color of all of this wheel. There's so much more to it. All right, here we go. Sagittarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Okay, our first angel is Archangel Uriel. Then we have in our opportunity, our obstacle, Indriel. In the angel's advice, we have Xana. And in the final position, we have Astera. Oh, I think I know where I'm going with this, because, Jupiter is retrograde in Aquarius right now. And I think this is really an opportunity to, sometimes we think we need other people's approval to move our story forward. And I'm thinking Sagittarius may be looking for other people's approval to move their story forward. And maybe they get to not worry about that. But let's see. Archangel Uriel is being joined by the Queen. Indriel's being joined by the restriction card. Xana's being joined by the Earth Fairy. And Astera's being joined by the Truth. So the Queen represents fertility, feminine energy. It represents intuition, I think, because, women's intuition and friends. But here it's coupled with Archangel Uriel dealing with frustration and anger. I really, really think that this is about I think of Sagittarius and the ruler of Jupiter being very spiritual, and even if not just spiritual, in my own education, what I've learned, what I get to know, because I feel like Sagittarius is not being acknowledged for what they've learned, what they got to know, and they're getting frustrated for it. It's almost as if, I don't know, when I was younger, and as I learned different natural remedies for things, and my dad his health was starting to decline, and I would like suggest this or that, and he would be like, yeah, I'm going to the doctor tomorrow. And he would take all their medications, but he didn't get good results in that direction. And so it was really frustrating for me to have all this knowledge and not be acknowledged for it. This is where I'm going. Just give me a minute, because here's Indriel the light worker, right? And there's the restriction card. Somewhere Sagittarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums is not being acknowledged for all the light work that they either know, that they're doing, implementing, behaving, but is now a time is to continue onward, continue to anchor this into your earthly experience. If you love to study astrology, don't stop because maybe your partner says that's mumbo jumbo. Allow yourself the privilege of saying, you know what, you do you, I'll do me, and we won't worry about it, because this is the angel of protection. And in the final position is Astera. Reach for the stars with your dreams and desires and do not compromise. And there's the truth card. So somewhere when Sagittarius, instead of being frustrated and angry, they will actually, by adopting more of a calm, receptive energy, the people in their life may be more receptive. And I say it because they're never going to learn from the words that you teach or say, but from the experience that you give them. And when we are truly sitting in our light, we're a little bit more understanding of the ups and the downs of the human experience, meaning the unknowing, knowing, frustration, anger, and fear. So Sagittarius, I really want to offer you this week in particular, but as we move, Sagittarius is going to join Pluto and Saturn going direct in October, and actually on October 17th. I know that because it's my birthday, and I just happened to remember that. So it felt very poignant to me to really be able to look at what are my beliefs, and do I diminish my own beliefs because I don't have the agreement of the people that I love in my life? They don't agree with my beliefs. So does it diminish them? And then I decided not anymore. Okay, on to our Scorpios, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Janelle, I don't know how to say that. We are on Scorpio, and I go backwards. I start at Pisces and work my way towards Aries. I did this almost feels like a few years ago during a Mercury retrograde, and I just stuck to it because everybody else goes the other way. It's just for balance. All right, here we go. Oh, Stephen, is your partner say that what you do is hocus pocus? I think that's I love that. It's kind of a fun thing to say, hocus pocus. I tell my family, I make them living at this hocus pocus. So there you go. Oh my goodness, my swollen eyes are really bothering me today, you guys. I apologize for my appearance. It's a little rough today. All right, here we go, Scorpio. Our first angel is Seraphina. The second is Archangel Uriel. The third is Desiree. And the final is Archangel Michael. Oh, that's sweet that he says, you do you, baby. You do you. I like a partner like that. All right, here we go. Scorpio, Seraphina is being joined by the serpent. Archangel Uriel is being joined by the wind fairy. Desiree is being joined by the owl. And Archangel Michael is being joined by the novice. This is very interesting to me because Seraphina is the angel of happy families. And the serpent is about knowledge and healing. Oftentimes I see it as the shedding of a skin. And yet today, for some reason, I almost see it as as a colon or as an intestine, almost as something in my gut, in order to truly have a happy change to my family. And let me tell you, most of your family will live up here in the committee of your mind, and then it'll trickle out into the human beings that you know. But I think this is about digging a little bit deeper into what your gut is telling you. You know, as a woman, oftentimes, and as an intuitive, there were relationships or in people, even friendships that I started, and I could feel intuitively that the friendships were limited, the relationships were limited. My participation in them might have had a function for the other party. And I feel like in order for Scorpio to truly feel the happiness that they're wanting, it's starting to dig deeper into your own intuition. And it may scare you a little bit because it may not be what your mind wants you to know. You know, it may not be what you think you want. Because I have in the opportunity, the obstacle, we have Archangel Uriel, and that's about anger and frustration, all part of the human experience. But it's coming through my thoughts. It's coming through, I think it's a fight for Scorpio between what the deeper truth of what they know and what they want to just have happen. You know, it's kind of like being in a relationship with somebody who's like 3/4 of the way good. You know, you get along pretty good, but there's some serious like differences. I want to have kids, they don't. I want to live in this country, they don't. They believe this, I don't. And it's kind of like it's a big thing, even though everything else might work. And you feel frustrated because you don't really want to have to make that decision. Because in the angel's advice is Desiree, and there's the owl. And this is about conditions not being favorable and about going back and forth. There's good news and bad news in a situation. And this is in direct relation to whatever you're thinking in your mind. You're frustrated because I think your intuition and your mind are in conflict. And I think on some level, Spirit is asking you to know that you're protected through Archangel Michael, but also to have the courage to just start almost giving yourself permission not to think in a different way, but to offer the universe an opportunity to give you a new experience. Sometimes we would think that certain people will behave a certain way and they'll react the opposite. I remember being a young girl and at one point expecting my father to be very angry about a situation. I can't even remember what the situation was. And he took a completely different stance with it. He actually was really cool about it. And then he went on and on about how I have choices and how my choices would give him choices. And so I better be mindful of my choices. And I hope you get where I'm going with this, because basically he told me if I lied to him, then he would make choices based on that. So for Scorpio, allowing your inner gut not to scare you, but to illuminate that maybe there is something deeper that's important to you. And rather than feeling like it's going to create some sort of disruption that will make you angry, giving Spirit an opportunity to start to show you a new experience. This may be part of what that inner knowing may be the planets going back and forth, revisiting the same theme, the same story going over and over again. And now it's an opportunity for Scorpio to kind of connect in a way that doesn't put you in an alert, put you in a Plutonian energy, but rather a more of a taking that Pluto and moving it into the transformational part, moving it into the place where I'm willing to take it one little step at a time. One little step. Yes, CJD, the gut does have a brain. Absolutely. And that's why we need to learn to listen to it a little bit more. Pardon me. All right, here we go. On to our Libras. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Some of these old sayings are rooted in a lot of truth. My gut reaction. Oh, I just walked in and I felt sick to my stomach. All right, here we go. Libra, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Heading into your season next week. Well, not quite next week. All right, here we go. Give it a good shuffle. I saw somebody comment that all the cards, a lot of them are similar for each of the signs. And I think that's part of the collective. You know, we're all kind of walking through the same desert from different perspectives. All right, here we go. Moulin the Rouge. Here we go. Libra, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Merlina. The second is Layla. The third is Daniel. And the final is Opal. Merlina is being joined by the Serpent. Layla's being joined by the Burden card. Daniel's been joined by Merlina. And Opal's being joined by the Truth card. You know, it's funny. When I look at this, I almost feel like Libra is Libra more concerned about the world this week than they are about their own individual lives. It feels like Libra is, can't we all just get along? You know, let there be love, let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Because when I looked at Merlina, and it's interesting because Merlina and Merlin come out often together, and Merlina represents confusion, and Merlin actually represents balance through alchemy. It's a balance through a challenge. And here we have this opportunity to see healing. Now, here's where I'm thinking that Libra, you're confused maybe, and maybe because you enjoy things to be kind of copacetic, all kind of mellow. When I was younger and my grandmother was studying astrology and they talk about Libra being not wanting to confront people, I thought, well, heck, I don't know why I'm a Libra. This to me feels like the confrontations going on in the world, the polarizing opinions and varying subject matters are starting to wear on you. And as we go into the holiday season, I feel like Libra's just sort of, can we just sort of shed that skin? And because I don't think it's confusion. I feel like it's not even frustration. It's more about, can we see things from everybody's point of view? Because I feel like Libra is really having trouble connecting with spirit to the higher vibration right now. It's almost as if the challenges, I know I watched the news for like 10 minutes the other day. It just happened to roll over after I was watching the show. And literally it was like, here's the COVID numbers, here's the Taliban, or as they say, the Taliban. Here's the fires, floods, mayhem. I started to have an anxiety attack, and I don't even have anxiety. Not like, I don't have anxiety like that. So I feel like Libra, be gentle with yourself. In this moment, the gentility that you want to see out in the world, give it to yourself, because there is going to be something's going to come into play. When I look at Daniel, the angel of marriage, I don't even want to go to the history and relationships as much as I feel like we are entering the age of Aquarius. And we as an astrology tribe know that there is a wisdom to this. And as a result, we have to see the balance that's coming from the disruption, because that's where we get to know that God and the angels are watching over us, and we are coming to deeper and deeper levels of truth. So earlier I talked about my love of history and watching history more and understanding that we have been going through levels of liberation. 200 years ago, one man actually oppressed another man because of the color of his skin. And I hope to God that in this day and age, that is not as prevalent, but it is on not the exact same level. Maybe it appears more elevated, but it's now about completely allowing these things to come up so we can truly shed a skin. And that skin is whatever is out of balance in the way of allowing others to be who and what they want to be. I know that sounds maybe a little bit altruistic, maybe a little bit, idealistic in some ways, but I really believe that this is where we are heading, so that we appreciate our diversity. We look at it more as colors in the, a painter would be so bored to paint with the same color. I'm working on a diamond art, and it's of the aurora borealis lights. And somebody I said, oh, I'm going to work on this. And they're like, oh, I could never do that. It's all one color. And as I work on it, it's a lot of the same shades of purple and blue, but it is not remotely one color. And I thought it was so interesting, because to me, they saw everything so flat. This is where I'm going, Libra. The world is learning not to see things flat. So as you hold space, that the disruption is going to bring a bigger picture of things. It's going to bring more balance. It's going to bring more, a more loving feeling. So now we can just kind of start to be that energy, a little more like be the change. Okay, here we go. Yes, Libra is a cardinal sign. So it has a certain amount of rigidity, but it also can be flexible. All right, here we go. On to our Virgos. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Rhonda, you're right. All races, all religions at some point or another. And this is where I think we're supposed to come to this place of understanding that and not focusing in on it, but rather focusing in on what it would feel like once we move past those things, which is why Pluto's been transiting Capricorn to break down and to kill old structures that don't serve us. They may have served at one point, but they don't anymore. Virgo is represented by the Virgin. It's not actually an animal pink fur. It's a Virgin. Okay, here we go. Our first angel for Virgo is the Patience card. The second in our opportunity or the obstacle is Xana, the angel of protection. In the in the angel's advice is Seraphina, the angel of happy families. And then we have Shanti, the angel of peace. Okay. For Virgo, the Patience card is being joined by the Communications card. Xana is being joined by the cow. Seraphina is being joined by the deer. And Shanti's being joined by the Forgiveness card. When I look at this, it's so interesting to me because I'm having all this Virgonian energy popping up. And I think it's so beautiful that Pink Fur's in our chat today, because as you asked me which animal Virgo represents, and I thought of Virgin, and then I immediately thought of the idea of Virgo and perfection. And then I thought of Virgo is really the naive. The Virgin is the one who has no experience, the one who's learning. And that's part of Virgo's opportunity, is to take the perfectionism off of something and allow for the journey of being right and wrong, or good and then having to excel. The journey of practice makes perfect versus having to be perfect. Because I think the Patience card for Virgo is representing your ability to trust, or to, Mercury rules Virgo. Mercury rules communications. Communications is not just what we speak to other people, but what we think about, what we absorb. And I think this is an opportunity for Virgo to see what your expectation of your communication is. What have you inadvertently, in sort of a Capricorn way, laid over your own wants and desires and have been inadvertently trying to deliver to others what they want to hear or what would be acceptable to them. I mean it in such a way where, I certainly am not trying to say, oh, Virgo, go be, Martian and in someone's face. But I think that there's something about the way that you're communicating both to yourself and then through yourself, you're sort of predisposing how somebody will react to it. And I feel like it's time for you to feel an authenticity and that you're being protected and that you don't have to tell everybody anything. You don't even have to share anything if you don't want to. You don't have to answer to anybody anymore. I think this is about some sort of interior way of communicating. I'm going to be kind of frank. There are certain relationships in my life that are supposed to be good, and they're not. And I say supposed to be because everybody else views that as, oh, that should be a loving relationship or blah, blah, blah. And if I'm going to be in a peaceful place with myself, do I continue to bang my head up against that energy that isn't true to me? Because I don't want to be in a pressure cooker, but the communications card and the patience card is about observation, about self-talk, about, is it okay for me at this chapter to put me first? And the idea that, like, even to the point where, you pick up your cell phone and you see somebody's calling you and your natural response is, oh, I should pick up that phone. But the bigger part of you says, I don't want to have that conversation. Because I think by giving to yourself, by nourishing yourself, that you will protect yourself, but not protect yourself in a way of staving off the other person, but actually fostering more peace in the dynamic, giving it a little air to breathe. Because in the angel's advice is the deer about gentleness and diplomacy. But so often we talk about the deer being in the headlights of fear. And maybe you're fearful that you're not being gentle and diplomatic enough. But by allowing yourself some space in everything. So this is the thing. Let's say if you're like me, you don't talk to any family. So all of this would be about me and my self-talk. All of this would be about what I watch on the news and how I'm saturating myself. Because in the final position for Virgo is the angel of peace. And then there's the forgiveness card. And I don't think this is about you forgiving anybody or anybody forgiving you as much as this makes sense. It's like a challenging situation created a disruption, which felt bad initially. But then when I gave myself as a Virgo permission to do it my way versus what I think other people want me to do, how I'm practical and dependable for other people. But no, I want to do it for me now. And when I do it for me, it turns out to be better. It's almost as if there's some sort of energetic ripple effect where you then understand that when you take care of you and you allow yourself not to be perfect, but be a maiden or the virgin or new and naive and learning right now on communications, your planet's going to go retrograde. So this is really an opportunity for you to start to look at this now so that you can really harvest this energy moving forward into October. Because oftentimes, without realizing it, we start to ponder a situation. I had something happen a few weeks ago where the conversation that I had was not only disruptive, but it took me a year and a half into the future. And all I could see was a bunch of nonsense that was not going to be authentic to me. And while I may not have handled the conversation in the most diplomatic way that I would have liked to, I got off the conversation and I realized my mind needed the diplomacy more than the conversation did. Because I have trouble in that genre because there's so much resistance coming my way. So I did the best I could do. All right, here we go. I am on to my Leos, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. perfectly imperfect. I love that. I always say, Lucy Rose, that I'm fabulously flawed. All right, Leo, here we go. Okay. Our first angel is Astera for Leo. The second is Bridget. The third is Maya. And the final is Yvonne. Oh, thank you, Joshua Malari. I'm glad you and your mom do watch together. That's so cool. Okay. Astera is being joined by the owl. Bridget for Leo is being joined by the water fairy. Maya is being joined by the trust card. And Yvonne is being joined by the love card. You know, it's interesting. When I looked at this, I felt like this is more about Leo's own personal heart than it is about, giving your heart to another person. And I feel like, Leo, this is where I kind of feel like I want to rewrite astrology in some ways, because if we really pay attention to what Leo rules, it's not just, being an actor and getting out there and having the audience give you accolades. It's about the fun things in life for everybody. And Leo is flanked by the family of Cancer on the zodiac wheel and the work. Okay. Both of those two houses have outward focused things. Okay. So what's wrong with being a Leo and having things focused about me for once in a while? Right? Because I think for Leo, this is about reaching for the stars with what you want. And I don't mean like, it almost feels like there could be a million different things that you want, but this is about digging a little bit deeper and really starting to go, do I want that because I think that other people will approve of me if I want that? Again, there's this weird unconscious feeling of taking actions that we think are going to make us happy, but they're really kind of focused on somebody else's version of what our happiness is. And I say this again, because Leo, Bridget's saying, look deeper into how you really feel about this. Do you really want, there's that big damn brown chair that I bought. It was ugly. It was big. It was super masculine. I have no idea why I bought it. And then nobody ever sat in it because it was uncomfortable and big and brown and ugly. So I got rid of it because I started looking deeper into what really makes me happy. And, what makes me happy doesn't always make other people happy. I'm not the most modern person. I'm kind of far. I always think of myself as mid-century modern, right? Literally as a human being, because I really do like some old antique things. I'm not a glass and chrome person. So this is why I'm saying this, because as Leo learns deeper and deeper levels of what you really love, not just what the audience applauds you for, you're going to learn to trust that in a way that I think will bring you even closer to standing in the leadership that Leo represents. The sun rules the zodiac. The sun rules romance, fun, children, hobbies, entertainment. It doesn't rule work. It doesn't rule your health, although it could, because if you're working at something you love, your health will be great. And if you're doing things you love, your family will be great. Maybe that's why Leo's in the middle there. I don't know who created the wheel, but I do think there's a much deeper wisdom than just compartments and categories. So Yvonne represents the things being vulnerable at a deeper level. And I say this because you guys haven't watched me before. I never had children. I never had two-legged children. And for the longest time, I only had cats. Lucky is my first dog. So I was always very vulnerable to my cats in a maternal way. And there's the love card. So Leo, it's time to really reach for the stars with your dreams and desires, and maybe even take a little reflective time to see where you might think there's something you want that you don't want as much as you want that other person or the other situation to approve of you or validate you or applaud you for. And then when you dig deeper into those emotional levels, I think you're going to find actually drawing in even more savory and rooted experiences here so you can represent the possibilities that this fear-based environment right now will not allow for. Okay, let's go on to our Cancers, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. All right, here we go. Oh, Joshua, you're so sweet. I wonder, when you put the part about your brain races to the finish a lot, I have Mercury and Neptune in Scorpio, and I used to always sort of be this little detective when I was listening to things. And sometimes now that I know I'm intuitive, I can finish people's sentences before they do. And I have to kind of keep my mouth shut so they can express themselves without me being overly domineering. Okay, here we go. I don't mean to be. I'm just like, okay, my Aries is like, okay, I got it. Let's go. I got it. Okay, go on. All right, here we go. Cancer, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And if you're a Cancer moon, honey, you are intuitive, and you got to pay attention to it. Powerful and strength, and the strength it gives. Rhonda, that's you. All right, here we go. Archangel Michael asking us to be courageous. Bridget, looking deeper into a situation, and Serafina, happy family. You guys see me shuffle, right? You know I'm shuffling these cards. This is the collective within the individual signs. This is the commonality within the oppositions and the squares. It's so killer. All right, and there's Archangel Gabriel, Cancer. Okay. Archangel Michael is being joined by the raven, representing magic and timing. We have Bridget and Merlin being joined together. We have Serafina and the perception card, and we have Archangel Gabriel and the movement card. For the longest time, it always seemed kind of funny to me that the raven represented magic in sort of this, what appears kind of a creepy way. There's the raven. You can tell it's clearly screaming or squawking, and it's sitting on top of a skull. I feel like this raven in this moment is declaring its liberation from its programming. Somebody said they were deprogramming themselves. I believe for my Cancers, this is an opportunity to be courageous as you actually step into the present moment and no longer let the history and the story continue to creep up on you. It's time to step into the magic of an assimilation of what you have experienced over this last couple of years. Because Bridget is telling Cancer to look deeper into the magic and into the balance. When I look at this last couple of years, I started working for myself full-time in 2014. So it's technically been 7 years. And I guess when you read books, they'll say, 7-year mark of if you're going to be successful. And when COVID hit, a lot of people in my life that don't believe in me reached out to find out if I was doing well. And I was. And they didn't care about my health. They just wanted to know if my business was dying because they don't believe in my business. This is where I'm going, Cancer. There's magic to be had when you have the courage to know you've come through some darkness and you're on the other side of it. And it's a little bit of time for Cancer to stop doing the crab crawl, feel the love, and start to look up to the moon that rules you. The moon protects this earth. It has this electromagnetic field that literally repels meteors and other things from hitting our planet. So it's time for Cancer to start to get into the justice and the balance that all of this disruption has truly offered. Look deeper into the disruption because there's been some good things that have come out of it. And one of those good things is your opportunity to shift your perception. Happiness is not something that really happens to us, guys. It's how we view something. It's why children from the same parents, one doesn't care that their parent is a jerk and the other's like, what, I'm never going to get over it. And this is perception, because for our Cancers, This is time for there to be movement in your self-talk. And it's time for you to see magic where there used to be mayhem. It's time for you to see where disruption is the doorway to your dreams. Will you walk through it? You know, this journey of mine of being on my own has been really interesting, because I don't really like the word psychic, although it's a very commonly used term. It feels very disempowering to me, as if the psychic is telling you something that's going to happen to you. So as I rewrote that term for myself, I could stand more authentically in what I do as an intuitive, which is to get into the momentum of what the human is creating. So for my Cancers, as you connect more into the magic and have the courage to see that there is this craziness that's actually bringing you closer and closer to the truth of what you want and what you want to experience. And as you sit in the magic of that, looking deeper into, well, this works and this is good and that's good, and even to the point where there could be something. And I said this in last week's broadcast. I was in a disruption, and my normal reaction to this person and disruption is sadness, feeling isolated and lonely and not feeling good. And the last time I went through this, I started to think that I felt sad. And then suddenly I had this feeling of relief. I feel relieved. I don't feel sad anymore. I feel like I have really evolved past it, because that's what Spirit is telling you. Your perception, Cancer, can bring you so much more happiness when you allow it to evolve into where you are today. This is the movement card. You have moved. You have, and it's time to start to connect to that so that you can start to live the magic in this experience. While there is a lot of scary things happening outside of us, I don't know that each person has to experience that scariness. Many people thrive. Pluto creates millionaires. Pluto creates abundance on its transformed side. So Cancer, as you allow for that, and you allow for your own perception to join into the idea that there are better things ahead, you'll start to experience them. And that's why I think that October is going to offer a harvest, as we see Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, and then finally Mercury all start to go forward again. All right, here we go. On to our Geminis, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Oh, Elizabeth, it's great to see you again. Welcome back. All right, here we go. Gemini, our first angel is Archangel Michael. Then we have Rochelle. Ooh, I just got chills everywhere. Then we have Rosetta, and we have Bridget. Oh my goodness gracious. I swear you guys watch me. I wish I could remember the Mises names. Okay, here we go. Gemini, Archangel Michael is being joined by the Trust card. Rochelle is being joined by the Frog. Rosetta is being joined by the Perception card, and Bridget's being joined by the Hawk. This is a lot to do with your mind, your thoughts, and your ability to have the courage to, Gemini rules the twins. And it kind of, I remember when I was younger, there were these actors that were twins, identical twins, and they hated each other with a passion. And one was an extremely successful actor and the other was not. And it was, again, when I was at an age where I didn't quite know I was a spiritual person, but I did observe the differences in their attitude and how the person who was successful was the twin who was the happier of the two, the one that didn't have as many grudges. They really did not like each other. I'm bringing this up, not because you don't like yourself, Gemini, but now is a time to have courage and not to trust the outside world, because I want to go, the 47 reduces down to an 11. 11 is the master number of thought, the master number of thoughts create things. So as you have the courage to say to yourself, I know I'm going through a challenging time, but would my soul truly pick a lifetime that would be one catastrophe, one problem, one nightmare after another? Because I think if you go dig down deep into your heart, this is where the frog, which represents good luck in the Chinese, and I think Japanese as well, but Chinese cultures, and it's also the releasing of emotional baggage, cleaning of my house. The house is represented by the mind in the body. So here we have the mind in two places. Okay. And I'm going to go to the final position. The hawk is the number 11. So now this is where I'm going. Gemini, as you trust a deeper picture, the disruption somehow is the doorway to my dreams. Whatever is going on right now is illuminating the focus of my thoughts. When I focus in on a problem, it seems to draw closer to me. How do I not focus on the problem? Because I can't quite see the solution. Distract yourself. Distract yourself. Do something fun and childlike to help shift your perception. I have a neighbor who God bless her soul, she is just negative Nelly. Every time you look at her, she comes up with the darkest side of a situation. And it got to a point where I couldn't stand it anymore. And I created on my patio, you can't see it, I was very angry, but I decided I was going to foster peace. And it wasn't peace with her. It was peace for me to look out on my patio. So I bought a little privacy screen and I put my little elephant out there and I put candles out there. And as I did all of that, I saw my focus go towards the peace and to the design aspect. And it brought out joy with me. I'm going to this place for Gemini because as you have the courage to trust a bigger picture of your story, and that this disruption that you have been experiencing is leading you to being stronger and more determined to follow your heart, which is then going to clean up the noise in your mind. And that will be demonstrated as you allow yourself more of a childlike perception. And I want to say actually engaging in childlike activities, silly things, listening to Disney movies, I don't know, or watching Disney movies. Because as you look deeper into your own perception and see yourself rise above the situation, maybe this disruption or whatever, like, let me put it this way. I don't feel personally disrupted right now, but the world is disruptive around me. And when I rise above it and I look deeper, I realize I've thrived through this situation. I haven't needed all of the governmental, allowances they've given to us during this disruptive time, but it's been nice to know they're there. And so now I have a stronger sense of my own security moving forward without having to see the money in the bank. That's where I'm going with this. That's Gemini. It's actually mastering your mind versus being more like reactionary to it. All right, let's go on to Taurus, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. CJD, this is exactly what I was talking about earlier on with Virgo. Don't reflect on all that's not getting done. Look at all that has been done. Go above all of this. Your Virgo moon is about allowing yourself in its highest vibration. It's about allowing yourself the privilege to know that it isn't about perfection, but it's about being fabulously flawed in the journey of continuing on. The journey of knowing that each flaw gives me a stronger opportunity to feel empowered. I had a client here yesterday, was concerned about her young daughter going off to college. And, how would she manage? And I said, every time she stumbles, this gives her a stronger foundation to know she can get up. We don't want to have there goes a plane or a train or an automobile, something loud. Because my point was, as we overcome challenges, as we overcome doubts, we become more faithful of ourselves when we sit in that place again. So that's where I'm going. All right, let's go on to our Tauruses. Whoop. All right. Simon 30, I go backwards. So I started at Pisces and I'm working my way towards Aries. We did the Lions a little while ago, and our trusty Juan has taken some me time, as he well deserves. So as far as timestamps goes, you guys, I'm going to really be appreciative of those of you that can pop them in the comments for me. I won't get to it later today. I'll try, but I don't think so. All right, here we go, Taurus. Our first angel for our Taurus rising sun, moon, and stelliums is Opal. The second is Isaiah. The third is Ariel. And the final is Teresa. Oh, thank you, Small Wildflowers. You're so sweet. All right, here we go. I have a Taurus moon, and it's been very interesting to watch my Taurus moon as Uranus has been floating over it back and forth, back and forth. And I think that's where this liberation came from. I think that's where Uranus, while it can be super scary and explosive, it offered me the epiphany of seeing where I had a habit of feeling a certain way, Taurus moon, and now I actually felt a different way. And that way that I feel now is serving me in a better way. So, Taurus, Opal is being joined by the Lady of the Lake. Isaiah is being joined by the Horse. Ariel's being joined by the Forgiveness card. And Teresa's being joined by the Fear card. Okay. Opal talks about God being in charge of our children. They're safe on heaven and earth. I think this is my inner child. I need a sip of my tea. Hold on one second. And then there's the Lady of the Lake. She's about courage, self-respect, responsibility, and not to somebody else, to herself. You also see she's sitting in this emotional storm. The waters are so tumultuous. Her hair is flying everywhere, representing the air element, our mind. Yet she holds Excalibur, the sword of truth, ever so lightly. And I believe that this is for Taurus, your connection to God and the angels, and knowing that whatever storms you are going through are actually serving you to stand in your truth in a more calm, serene, and harmonious way. It's almost as if you don't need to defend your self-respect. You don't need to defend your truth, and you don't need to defend anything. And there will be validation of that. And I'll tell you, I'm going to go to the final position for Taurus, moon, rising, sun, and stelliums, because Teresa is about worrying about other people. And here, I don't think the Fear card is talking about straight up fear. I think it's about that acronym of face everything and rise. And I want to offer this because Taurus is a fixed sign, and a Taurus moon will be fixed in their emotional body. So this is really not about facing the other people. It's about facing yourself in reflection to the other people. So here I go again. If my truth is not palatable to others, am I going to give up my truth? Because for Taurus, the angels are saying it's time to give birth to new ideas and new situations, and know you're protected as you allow your beliefs to go in a different direction than other people. The Horse represents going in another direction for me. It also represents Sagittarius, which represents Jupiter, which represents my beliefs. And this is what's going on for Taurus. Your beliefs are somehow in contrast to those around you. And even though that may be true, hold tight, because God and the angels are saying new psychic and spiritual experiences are changing the way you view yourself in the world, and there will be a reconciliation. My Taurus moon, it doesn't know much about forgiveness because the people in my life don't seem to perpetrate forgiving behaviors. Instead, they seem to have the same critical, kind of cranky way of being with me. So I believe that this is reconciliation. I understand. I don't need you to agree with me anymore. I don't need you to understand me. I don't need you to do anything for me. What I get to do is give it to myself. I get to face that it's okay for me to be different. It's okay for me to have different beliefs. It's okay. I don't want to be homogenized into the rest of the world. Nervous energy comes from Uranus. Uranus rules the nervous system, and going through Taurus right now, it's making aspects to Saturn, which is the key of the year, pink fur. This square between Saturn and Uranus, it's going to become exact December 26th, but we're going to be feeling, as the planets move into position, we're going to be feeling this energy building. And it's really not here to make us have anxiety attacks as much as it's to identify the truth. If you're feeling nervous energy, then there could potentially be a lane you're walking down that isn't authentic to you, but to somebody else. And because you love them and you want their approval, you're walking down a lane that doesn't make any sense to you. So I think it's about having courage and knowing that God and the angels will watch over me while I have that courage. Courage to go in the directions of my beliefs. And as a result of that, Spirit confirms that my beliefs are not to the exclusion of somebody else's. They can have their beliefs too. But I can no longer acquiesce my truth to yours. Okay, here we go. Aries, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. And again, I just want to tell everybody I'm a little puffy today. My eyes are a little funky because I was very emotional. I was watching the 9/11 tributes, the 20th anniversary. I was gripped like crazy. I turned it on, and within 2 seconds, I couldn't turn the TV off. And then I proceeded to cry and go through a full Kleenex box over the next 2 hours. And that was Friday night, and it's Sunday morning. God bless my face. I've always been quite an emotional crier, and it's always shows up on my face. I hate crying. Stephen, I want to say that reversal in Texas, I don't think it'll last. I think that this is all part of that square. I don't think we're going backwards. And I think the people that want to hang on to the old antiquated structures are going to fight for them. But I don't know if they're going to ultimately win. And so what we have to understand as a spiritual tribe is that when we go into battle with others, we inadvertently focus in on the battle versus on the solution. So as we step back and we don't necessarily go into battle, don't feel sorry for the women in Texas. Send them energy to stand in their truth. And in doing so, transforming that antiquated law. All right, here we go. Aries, our first angel is Archangel Michael. Again, we all have to have courage right now. We all get to have courage to stand in our truth regardless. And I do. Who said Roe versus Wade? Where was that? CJD, was that you? Yeah, I totally think it's Roe versus Wade all over again in many areas. All right, here we go. Aries, Rochelle is in our opportunity, our obstacle. Archangel Raphael is in the angel's advice. And then we have Xana in the final position. Oh, Lucy Rose, I don't want to get in a competition, but let me tell you, I could be a really ugly crier. Oh my God, my whole face changes like I've been in a fight with somebody. And I think I'm in a fight with myself. Thank you, Stephen. I love our community as well. And, I want to say this because some of our tribe members have taken a break. They'll be back. They'll be back. They just, it's hard for people, I think, to always kind of sometimes be in the same place. They need to go and come come and go. All right, Archangel Michael for our Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. We are going to have Archangel Michael and the deer joined together. Rochelle is being joined by the frog. Archangel Raphael is being joined by the novice. And Xana's being joined by the protection, double protection. Okay, so let's look at this. Aries, your ruling planet Mars is moving into Libra. I started this broadcast talking about a past life reading that Brian Coulter did for me. I'm an Aries rising, and I have the sun and the moon conjunct in Libra. I'm sorry, sun and Mars conjunct in late degree Libra. So he was going on about how I was argumentative and resentful in relationship, and it was all right. I mean, it was a perfectly good reading. But to me, what I was understanding intuitively was it was about me learning how to use my Martian energy for good and not evil. When I was younger, I used to say, man, if it was legal to kill people, I'd just be because I thought people were stupid. And this was the youthful part of me that is an Aries rising that just wanted to plow through everything, right? So I believe that the reason my Mars is in Libra is because I'm to learn how to be my truth, but in a way that allows other people to be on their journey, wherever that is. If they're ahead of me, behind me, it does not matter. If they believe what I believe or they believe the opposite, it doesn't matter. Honoring their truth is what matters. And then hopefully they honor mine back. But if they don't, I leave them where they sit. Because now Aries is truly Archangel Michael asking you, do you have the courage to be gentle and diplomatic? Because it is something you need to be courageous about. Because you see things kind of clearly. And honestly, I don't think Aries likes stupidity. I don't mean, and stupidity is a perception. I'll say it. But I just feel like this is really, do you have the courage to sit back? Because in the opportunity obstacle is Rochelle saying, as you honor and follow the guidance of your heart, it eases your mind. We saw this combination, I think, earlier in the broadcast. And this cleaning the house, the mind is the house where we live. The heart is where we wish we lived. And so I think this is about being gentle and diplomatic, not only with others, but with yourself. Because here is Archangel Raphael in the angel's advice, and this huge epiphany is coming. And here's the unstable new beginning. Practice without, it's skill, but without practice. So I think that this has been I think that for me personally, again, I have a Taurus moon, so I'm fixed and stubborn, sometimes, often in my emotional body. My Aries sees truth so deeply that if you lie to me, you're screwed, because I won't even tell you, I know you lied to me. I'll just start to back off. Now, this is what I want to say. Am I, as an Aries rising, courageous enough to be gentle and diplomatic, not only with others, but with myself? With myself, as I transform, not from a different version of myself, from the same version of myself, but from a more intentional place of coming, from a place that really is more about my heart. And so this is where I'm going when I say my heart. I try to be what I would want others to be with me. So when I do readings, I give readings the way I would want to receive a reading. I want to be empowered by it. I don't want to be disempowered, because as Aries is courageous in the way they express themselves, being gentle, not for the sake of disempowering yourself, but for the sake of, that, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy saying? That's what this is all about. Because Aries, you could be right all day long, but without diplomacy, you may not be happy. Because it's not what you have to say, it's how does it land on the other person? Is it productive or destructive? Because as you walk through this moment, you're being protected, double protection. And I want to say it because the protection comes from your ability and willingness to be intentional and conscious as you move forward. So we talked about Mars moving into Libra this coming week. It's the title of this program. So Aries, as your ruling sign moves into the sign of harmony and diplomacy, how can you foster that? Not for others, but for yourself. Because even if you go into a disruptive situation, if you feel you've been authentic to yourself and been the fosterer of the olive branch, you could still walk away feeling good about it. So that's where I'm going with that. I think it's a pivotal time for us, not just this week, not just next week, but these again are the seeds that we are sowing for our experience coming up. And as we move into 2022 and 2023, I'm hoping and I'm intending that we're going to start to live in the material world some of these higher vibrational concepts. So, yeah, that is my desk over there, my other little desk. And Lucky loves to sit under there. It's one of his favorite spots. Where is he now? Lucky, where are you? He might be in his little bed. He's got a little bed over here by the screen. Okay. All right, everybody. That's it for me for this week. Again, my name is Teri Hunter. I'm an angel therapy practitioner, Reiki master, intuitive astrologer, and empowerment coach. Feel free to hit the thumbs up. Feel free to go to Lotta's site. I'm available for readings. And I'll be back next Sunday with more of an installment of Angels and Astrology, the angels' advice for traversing the transits. Okay, thanks everybody. Sending lots of love to you. Peace.